thing on. Is this thing on? All right, what's up guys? Welcome back to Maestro Vapes, man. Today we're looking at the Aeolus RDA made by Synthetic Cloud. We'll take it in and take a look at it, build it with the best possible build that I could find for it, wick it up, and we'll come back and chat more about it. But the Aeolus was something that really interested me when I first saw it a few months back. I've been vaping this one for about 3 weeks now and putting a ton of builds in it. Now, this RDA was kind of weird for me. When I started building it, I had a rough go with it. I had a really rough go with it, but I had like a weird tainted batch of juice. So I'm sure a lot of those builds were okay, and I just wasn't getting what I wanted out of it. But I moved on to some other stuff and kept building it, kept building it, kept building it, and found a great build for it, and we'll take a look at that later. But I dig it. It's really funky. Comes with this heat sink that you see on here that is removable. It's 22 mil. It works with all of your other drippers that you might have, or 22 mil tanks. You can utilize that for a bunch of stuff. It's really cool that they throw that in. Now, there's no holes in it, so it becomes leak resistant, I guess. It's not really leak proof, but it is leak resistant. Like, you can't just fill this thing up with juice and vape it. But it does work well. It does work extremely well. The vertical airflow system is decent. It works great. For clouds, I don't know. You're not going to go to a cloud contest with the Aeolus and win. You know, there's no way. But it does produce really nice volume of vapor. It does. It truly does. And it's got a nice compromise between volume of vapor and flavor. The flavor is decent on this. Now, in the close-ups, you're going to see one of the airflow holes is bigger than the others, and I did that. I had to drill it out. I couldn't wait, you know? I had to do that, so you'll see. Anyway, we'll take it in. We'll do the build. We'll come back and take another look at it, chat a little bit more about the features and all that stuff, all right? Let's go in. Oh, yeah. All right, so here it is up close, the Aeolus from Synthetic Cloud. Comes in this little kind of, you know, tube kind of box like you'd get like 5 ponds in, stuff like that, right? So it's pretty much identical to a 5 ponds box, but it's a little bit smaller. It's nice packaging, doesn't bounce around too much in there when you get it. Opens up, there it is. Now, typically your atomizer is going to come in this little pouch in here. But, yeah, it's out of there because I've been using it for the last couple of weeks. So usually it's going to come in this little thing so it doesn't get scuffed up in transit, all right? It does come with a bunch of extra screws and O-rings, which is really cool. It comes with, I think, 4 large O-rings and 2 smaller ones and 3 screws in there. Very cool. I love the extras. Now, that's it. There's the packaging. You know, this is the stainless steel one. We could set that aside. Now, this thing comes with a heatsink. All right? And this heatsink can fit any 22 mil device. You could put any Addy on there. You could utilize this with your tugboat or your Patriot or whatever you want to use. So it's pretty cool that they throw that in. Now, if you can see this, the pin is sticking out super far on this thing. If you use this with other Addies that have a stubbier post, it's not going to be as bad, but the Aeolus itself has a pretty big one, so we'll touch on that first. It's really cool that they throw this little like, heat fin attachment in, all right? It's got a little insulator copper post. All right, bottom of this guy just says, you know, Synthetic Cloud logo. It's got a serial number on there, copper post insulator in there. Now that copper post sticks out far, man, far. I don't know if you can get that right there, but it sticks out pretty far. Now, on a lot of mech mods, if you don't have adjustment or telescoping on your mod, it's going to have a hard time, you know, touching bottom. You might actually have to have it float. And some stuff where I've used this, I've used it with the heatsink. And then what I do is I leave a little gap so it looks like there's an extra heat fin in there. and then tighten it down. All right, once it's tightened down, it won't move around too much. But you got to be careful pulling your cap off and on because there may be some play in there. All right. Now, some people have been talking about filing this down. I don't know if I'd recommend that. And some people have been stripping these out. Remember, copper is really soft. It's really soft. If you use a screwdriver in here that doesn't fit that slot, you're probably going to make a mess of it. So the best advice, if you're going to be tightening this thing down or your post moves or anything like that, find a blade of a screwdriver that fits that slot nice and tight, and then go at it gently. All right? That's the best advice I can give for you. All right? It's a neat looking little Addy. And you're looking at this thing, there's no holes. There's no holes in this sleeve, in this barrel section, right? Because it's all top flow airflow. It's pretty funky, man. Let's take the top of this off. All right, we'll look at the deck in a sec. It's got this little airflow control that pops out of here. It's just held on by an O-ring in there. And if you look down in there, there's your holes. Now, the center hole out of these three is a little bit bigger on mine. And that is because I drilled it out. I drilled it out to make it a little bit more airy to bring my draw up. And I'm actually thinking about doing the other 4 holes on the outsides to match that one and mimic that. And I think the airflow in this thing would be perfect. All right. Got a little bit of a conical shape to it right there. That should be bringing your flavor up a tiny bit. One thing I really dig is these blue O-rings. Like, they just look different, you know? Like, I dig it a lot. It's got your Aeolus logo on there, and your airflow comes in. Now, what this is going to do, you got your airflow control on here. You're going to be able to run this in single coil right here in the center, or dual coil with these 2 on the side. Very cool. So single coilers out there, you can build this thing up. All right. The way to adjust your airflow control is just turn it. Just turn that over. Close off an airflow hole, close off 2, close off 2.5, whatever you want, man. You can close her down. You can take it down to pretty much 1 hole. No, you can go down to about 2 holes. 2 holes you can go down to on this guy. Now it's going to project in and come down. All right, just kind of scoop on down on this guy. That's the top of it. That's the airflow. That's how it works. Now the barrel section of this, there's not a lot to it, right? Because there's no holes in it or anything like that. It is very clean. Like, the machining on this thing is really, really nice. The bottom of it has this little lip in here that's going to sit against the base of your deck. All right. Now, let's get rid of that. Looking at the deck itself, what do you see? A lot of machining, man. A lot of machining going on in here, which is pretty cool. Now, your negative posts are milled right into the deck. And then where your positive post sits is also machined into the deck. Now, there is an insulator in there, and your positive pin can come out. So that's not machined into the deck, but it's pretty cool, man. There's a little juice well. You just throw your cotton into there, and it's deep. Like, it's fairly deep. You could put a bunch of juice into this thing. Flathead screws with a knurled little lip on it. I'm not a huge fan of these. I'm a bigger fan of Phillips screws personally, but it works. Like, it does work. It's just weirder to build, you know, when your screwdriver can kind of slip out of there. It's the only thing. Your screwdriver can slip out. And I'm sure when we build this, I'll do it a bunch of times because I suck. Another thing, it's got these O-rings on here again that are rated for a pretty high temperature. I'm sure it's on the screen right now what that exactly is. All right. It's pretty versatile little unit. They are claiming anti-flood on this because when you put this on, then, you know, no juice should be coming out. And a lot of people I know who have been using this thing, they're filling this thing up with juice, like putting a ton of juice in here and not having too many problems. It's not anti-flood. Like, you can flood it out and it will leak a little bit, okay? Keep that in mind. It can leak a little bit, but it's pretty good. Like, it's not brutal by any means, all right? Airflow is neat. It kind of tripped me out. It kind of tripped me out because I wasn't sure what to think of it, but I've been playing with this thing for the last few weeks. Now, I've been putting a bunch of different builds in this thing, building it out like every 2 or 3 days sometimes, and I think the best one that I've got right now is Tiger Wire, okay? This is 24 gauge nichrome with 0.8 ribbon wire twisted together. Check out my video on how to twist Tiger Wire if you haven't already, and then you can see how to twist this stuff up, all right? Let's build it. Let's build it because that's what I dig. What's close to me? There's a box mod close to me. We'll build it on this guy, all right? Bam. Screwing it down, screwing it down. It's been pushing against the floating pin in this for a long time. And it bottoms out and leaves a little bit of a gap, even on this Sigelli 150. All right? So the pin is very long on this guy. Now, we didn't really look at the post holes, did we? The post holes are going to fit just everything. Like, just everything. If you want to put 2 pieces of 20 gauge in the center of this thing, you certainly can. If you want to put parallel builds in this thing, you certainly can. It is very doable, all right? Although I don't recommend going super sub-ohm on this thing because the airflow will not keep up. Like, this is definitely not like a cloud competition Addy by any means. I've even drilled those holes out a little bit to get a little bit more, so... And it's still not quite enough for me, and I'm not talking about taking it to like 0.07 or anything like that for this, all right? The holes in it are big enough that I'm going to be able to use 2 pieces of wire. So let's clip that 2 pieces of wire. What am I going to wrap this around? What am I going to wrap around? I would kind of like to wrap around 2.7 mil. All right, let's see if we can get this going. 2.7 mil driver. And we'll go, that's the 5th one. We'll do 6. We'll do 6 wraps today. That's a lot of wire, man. Okay, get that through that negative and in. All right, I take it just to about the lip here so we can raise this coil a bit. Then I tighten up this negative, like I said, flathead slips out, especially when you got a camera in your face. I gotta stop shooting these videos in first person, man. I love you guys, but damn. Okay. Now that I got my negative snugged in there, I'm gonna leave my positive floating, all right? Now we're gonna do the same thing. That was 6 wraps, right? Gonna do another 6 wraps on this other piece of wire. Get the screwdriver right. And throw them in, man. My 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, okay? Now, that first one was a little bit loose there, so I'm going to fix it, give it a little pull, and we're good, okay? Tiger wire is going to snag, you know, like it is. It's probably going to push this a little bit. No, we're good, because those post holes are massive. I build so many Addies, I kind of forget what I'm building sometimes. All right, so bring that in just to about there. I'm going to snug up that negative again. Yeah, not a huge fan of these screws at all. But you know what? Some people really dig them. I should take my own advice and use a screwdriver that's made for that size. Okay. Now, hopefully, the other coil didn't move around too much because I'm going to snug this guy down. My hand's like completely in the way, eh? Okay, so I got this coil where I want it. Now let's check out this other one. Okay, that one's right about where I want it. I can clip this and center it a bit if I want. Nice and tight. Check on this guy. Actually, that one's not too bad either. It's not too bad. I think we're good to stay where we are. Now, let me just snug everything back up. Come on. There we go. There we go. All right. Let me start clipping some legs here. I'm going to leave that driver bit in there. Where's my clippers? Now, bring that down. Clip it nice and tight. There we go. I'll do the other negative. Clip it nice and tight. Now with my positives, I kind of pull it over to the side and just get it. Just get it. All right, just get it. Go get it. Bam. Same thing with this one. I just pull this guy over. Just go and get it. Try and get that tight as well. That's it, man. Be careful you don't clip your other positive. Now I'm just going to push this and center it a bit. Beautiful. Okay. And then what I like to do is, let me bring it in this way. No, this way. I like to raise this guy up just to about the top of that center screw. Just to about there. And it's going to bring us pretty close to where the airflow inlets come in. Like once this is all closed down, your airflow is just going to be hitting right onto those coils. Okay? Make sure I got that one where I want it. And then I'm just going to adjust the other one as well. Okay? Flip this guy around. Go in and get it. Okay? Just bring that one over. All right, so with this one, I just pick up this coil as well. Just give it a little lifty. We're going to try and get it even with that center screw. Pretty close. And those two should be about the same height now. Check it out. I'm going to center it just a bit. Get it to where we want it. And that's it, man. We can pinch these guys up. Yeah, they're pretty close. I'm pretty happy with that. All right. Now, one last time, I just like to make sure the screws are down. Like, it's one of the most important parts, you know? Solid connection, no shorts, all right? Speaking of shorts, let's check it. Let's check it on the ohm meter and see if there is any. Okay. And we're getting a 0.32, all right? What am I doing here? Let's dry fire this puppy. Going to be running this on the Sigelli 150. We'll be able to bump up the wattage if we need to. But for the most part, this build is just perfect with the airflow set up the way that it is on this guy. Okay. Where are we at? 124 watts. Might be too high. That was from the last thing. Let me take this down. Oh, we'll go around 40-ish, I think. Yeah, 36. That's a good starting point, okay? little squeeze. Don't need to kill this stuff. Just little squeezes, light pinches. And it's almost nicer sometimes if it has little gaps, you know? Perfect. Okay, this thing's going to vape awesome. Now, what are we going to wick this with? I'm going to wick this with Koga cotton because I got some handed off to me from a good buddy of mine, so we're going to wick with it. And I kind of dig it. It's Japanese cotton. I'm going to take out, you know, a full new pad just to show you what I do. Wow. Let me take everything out of here. Little bits and pieces all over. So I'll take a sheet of this. Okay, and it's got these layers on the outside. So what I do is I just peel those off. Let's try and take off just that thin layer and get rid of it. You can use those to wick tanks, stuff like that, if you want. They work pretty good in K-Funds, actually. Okay, get that thin little layer off there. Okay, and now I'm just going to cut some strips to fit this, all right? And another one. All right. Okay. Discard that for now. Now you're left with two pieces that are about the same size. Try and get them the same size, all right? Now, what I do with this stuff is I'll grab an end and I'll start rolling it, okay? But as I'm rolling it, I hold on to the other end. So I'm just kind of twisting it, and it's fluffing up as I twist it and roll that point onto it. Okay, and then it kind of fluffs up into a bit of a square. Just like that. Just puffs right up. All right, same thing goes on the other one. Get it all prepped. So you know what? I'm going to do this side because it feels a little bit thinner. And then I just start rolling it. And then puff it up. And that's it. That's it. And then you wick this guy up. Now your coils are sitting pretty high, and that's going to help be right in front of that airflow. That one coil's not looking too pretty. It's kind of a little bit limp on one side, but hey, it's going to work. They're firing pretty even. I don't want to mess with a good thing right now. Just pull it in. Sitting, feeling pretty nice. It's moving about with a little bit of tension, but not too freely and not super tight. All right. Let's do this other guy. Put that in here. And pull on the right side just to give it a little bit of tension and get it going in even. And boom. Fluff dog right there, man. Back it out a bit. You can fluff it up. Now we can just clip this off, all right? Now, a lot of times I just go pretty much to the outside of the deck and clip. That's what I'm good with. And this cotton is just going to sit into that juice well really nice, all right? Now, I like to use either a screwdriver or some tweezers, and a lot of time I'll just put the tweezers on my middle finger and kind of control, almost like a chopstick action. And then I'll just tuck it into the deck, just like this. It's going to sit in there really nice, okay? Now, it's got this little lip that it goes into, so try and make sure that it sits into that little lip in the deck. And that's going to work awesome, man. Put that one in. That one can just scoop on in. It's just going to sit into that little juice well. And I leave a little bit of airflow underneath it and surrounding it, and it's going to work really effectively with the airflow. Okay, same thing over here. Trying not to kill the cotton, trying to leave it fluffy, as always. Okay. And this one, you can kind of just scoop, slam on in. You can puff it up a bit. Just like that, man. Alright. It's kind of like a weeping willow sitting into there. Did I just call my wick a weeping willow? Oh my god. What's happened to me? That one can be puffed up a little bit. Oh yeah, that's going to wick really nicely, okay? And the coils, the way that they're situated, up a little bit higher, it's going to get it right in front of that airflow, all right? Like right dead in front of that airflow, and it's going to work just super good. What am I going to be vaping here? Let's do this one. Juice her up. Fire that into the coils. Oh. Again. Oh, the smells so good. Got this at a pretty low wattage still. And this coil will vape really nicely on a mech too. The way that the airflow's set up, the way the deck is, and just the temperature of it and everything, this coil works really, really well in this Addy. All right? Get this airflow on here. Top cap barrel section. Dialed in. Make sure my airflow is open, wide open. Not in single coil. And direct those airflow channels, ports, directly over it. And that's going to fire really, really nice for us. Let's take it out and have a vape off of it. All right? Aeolus. All right, so that was the build. That's how I wicked it, all that good stuff. And it does work extremely well. That build works excellent. I've got it on the Sigelli 150 right now, vaping it at 98.3 watts, and it is just killer. The flavor in it is really nice. It's not super hot. It's just a nice kind of warmish vape, you know? It's cool to warm, somewhere in there. And it's a nice, flavorful vape. I'm digging this thing a lot, actually. I would say if you were torn between this and the Hobo for kind of, you know, top airflow. Well, a Hobo has side airflow too, but something with top airflow, I'd go with this. I would definitely go with this. I drilled out that hole in it, the center hole, a little bit bigger, and it opens it up just nice, you know? And it's just right. I think it's a decent flavor balance right now, but I would like to build a thicker wire gauge in here to just get it to perform a little bit harder, you know, a little bit harder in this. But all in all, it's really nice. The machining quality is really groovy, but the center pin, the copper pin in it is super long. It's super long, and like I said in the close-ups, be careful. If you have to tighten that thing down, it could strip out really easily, and then you got a mess, okay? So tread lightly. Just tread lightly when you're tightening up copper or anything like that. Threads of copper, be very careful, okay? I have like a little fact sheet here that I wanted to refer to because it does have the vertical airflow system that they're using, which produces a tasty vapor is what it's saying. A dense vapor. Let's try it out again. The vapor is fairly dense from it. It really is. It's decent. It is a little bit cooler than I'm used to. So it's not my favorite Addy, you know, because I do like warm, hot vapes. Everybody knows that if you've been watching my channel. The airflow control, I find, is it user-friendly? Yes, it is. It's easy to turn around, but I end up using it wide open all the time, and it locks into a place. Like there's like a little click where it sits when it's wide open, but if I moved it around, I don't know if it would move on me, you know, and open stuff up or close it off a bit more. I'm not sure about that, okay? So, you know, fuck me for that one. They're saying anti-flood cover, anti-flood, anti-leak. I don't know. I'd say it's leak-proof. It works pretty good. It can leak a little bit. If you do tip it over and stuff like that, it will come out of the holes. I have had a little bit of like trickles of juice come out from the bottom of the sleeve where it meets the O-rings, you know, but it's not bad. Like it's not bad at all. And the O-rings are good. I think they're Viton or Vitron or whatever they are. Where's my sheet? Viton O-rings that are rated up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. The peak insulators are rated to 649.4 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty beast, man. It can take a lot of heat, although it does produce a cool vape. It's kind of weird. It is pretty dope, man. The heatsink, because they throw that in, that's really nice. Anti-spitback design is what they're saying. I don't get any spitback. You know, a lot of the Addies that I use and 3-post Addies and, you know, side airflow that comes in, I get spitback on. I do. And I actually gave an Addy to a friend of mine just the other day, and he had a hit, and he's like, it shocked me. And I'm like, no, you got a spittle of juice. You know what I mean? And I haven't got any spitback from this. I'm a tailpiping dude. I don't use drip tips too often. I've got one on here right now, but you can't tailpipe it. You can't tailpipe it because your lips get in the way of the airflow. Okay, keep that in mind if you're a tailpiper like me. I dig the way the airflow works. Like the airflow just kind of comes down onto your coils and then evacuates as you're drawing. Like it works really well. And anytime I've opened it up, like a lot of other Addies might have like a little bit of vapor sitting in there. This one doesn't. It feels like I vacuum the majority of the vapor out of it. So it is pretty effective and stays clean. That'll keep your cotton and coils a little bit cleaner, a little bit longer too. But yeah, I couldn't really build a much lower resistance in this because the flavor gets murdered. Like the flavor gets murdered and you could develop a pretty hot vape. Like if I always test with a 20 gauge coil. I put a 20 gauge dual coil in here and it was just too much for it. And the airflow couldn't keep up. I did some 22 gauge stuff, but I found the build that we just did was pretty boss for this. Like you get a decent vape. You could probably get away with doing a parallel build with the same gauge of wire and still get a decent vape out of this. And it'll warm up just a little bit. I have done it and it works pretty well. But you do have to use this pretty much on a regulated box to get a decent vape out of it. All right, that's just me. But yeah, if you're looking at this compared to the Hobo or something like that, although the Hobo has great machining quality and stuff like that, and the Addies are a little bit different, you know, I would go for the Aeolus. Somebody was asking me about it, so I would go for the Aeolus over that, definitely. And I dig it, you know. Is it my favorite Addy now? No, but I have been using it a lot. Like, I really truly have been using it quite a bit, and I've been testing it out and testing it out and testing it out. And I just find that I don't want to leave it behind. Like, I don't want to leave it at home and go, okay, well, I'll try it again later. I dig it. Like, it's a decent vape. I'm really liking it. And for certain juices, it's just the cooler vape is really nice in this, okay? So that's pretty much all I got. Hopefully you dug the video and hopefully it helped you out. I'm digging it. The Aeolus, man. It is a good vape. I got this from my good friends at Dash Vapes. I bought it over there. I think the price on this thing is like 95 bucks Canadian. I'm not sure. I might be wrong there, but my buddies at Dash Vapes will take care of you. It's about 85 bucks US at most retailers as well. So for Canadian price, it's pretty much on par. It's pretty much on par if you do the conversion, all right? Because there's always somebody who's like, dude, you got ripped off, man. That's way too much. And then I'm like, how much you paid for yours? And then I do the conversion, and it's like $2 less than they paid. And it's like, yeah, dude, you're so right. Anyway, that's it for me, guys. It was super cool chilling out with you guys again. Remember, guys, butt out, vape up, and breathe easy. Know your limits and vape within it. And you are going to have a stellar day, man. I'll catch you on the next one. It's always cool chilling out with you guys. All right? Talk to you later.